เพราะว่าถ้าเกิดว่าสมมติแบบเป็นกลุ่มเล็กๆอะครับผมก็จะขอให้เขาแบบพูดกันเป็นภาษาอังกฤษล้วนแล้วก็ผมก็จะขอกลุ่มเฉพาะกลุ่มคนไทยเล็กๆแล้วก็ผมก็จะเป็นล่ามสดเลยโดยที่จะได้ไม่ต้องคุยแล้วก็หยุดคุยแล้วก็หยุดมีท่านไหนไหมครับที่อยากจะได้เป็น private translation
ก็ฝั่งนู้นไหมครับอันนี้แบบเผื่อถามฝั่งนู้นคือไม่ต้องเกรงใจนะครับคุณโยสามารถจะไปนั่งใกล้ๆแล้วก็สรุปเป็นประเด็นเป็นช่วงอะไรอย่างเงี้ยฉะ
นั้นบนนี้พาเนลสามารถพูดภาษาอังกฤษได้แล้วก็ผมก็ท่านไหนที่อยากต้องการล่ามภาษาไทยผมขอตรงทางด้านนั้นได้ตกลงกันตามนี้ไหมครับ So the talk will be in English and for those who need Thai translation will be seated over there and I'll do live translation Good โอเคนะครับได้ครับ
มีไม่กี่คนนะครับที่ live translate ในแง่ของโลกศิลปะได้ดีเท่ากับโยขอพูดภาษาไทยก่อนนะครับ I'm going to be speaking in Thai a little bit ขอต้อนรับทุกท่านสู่หอศิลป์วิทยานิทัศน์นะครับ เรากำลังจะเข้าสู่นิทรรศการช่วงท้ายๆของชีวิต 20 ปีเศษๆของหอศิลป์วิทยานิทัศน์ เพราะฉะนั้นทุกงานกำลังจะมีความหมายและมีค่าสำหรับความเป็นประวัติศาสตร์ของเราอย่างชัดเจนมากขึ้นนิทรรศการนี้ก็เป็นเกียรติอย่างยิ่งสำหรับทางหอศิลป์นะครับที่ได้ Curator แล้วก็ทีมศิลปินที่น่าสนใจมากๆทีเดียวคุณลีโน่เป็นพันธรักษ์ที่เป็นที่น่าจับตามองท่านหนึ่งนะครับในเวทีนานาชาติเดี๋ยวผมเข้าใจว่าแกก็จะสามารถแนะนำตัวเองได้แต่หลักๆเลยขอยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับแล้วก็กลุ่มเราเป็นกลุ่มเล็กเพราะฉะนั้นกรุณาอย่าเกรงใจนะครับที่จะมีคำถามหรือว่ามีคอมเมนต์อะไรต่างๆนะครับงั้นเดี๋ยวผมขอเกริ่นเป็นภาษาอังกฤษ I would like to welcome everyone to the Art Center, JuฬาArt Center, at the Center of Academic Resources. This is one of our last few exhibitions of 20-odd years of the Art Center at Chulalongkorn University. We are in the process of decommissioning or winding down, so every show is becoming part of our celebrated memory. So it is it's our great honor to welcome the team, the artists, and our curator, Lino, who's very internationally acknowledged and is highly regarded. So we definitely appreciate your sense of dedication and your commitment to come to Bangkok in such outrageous heat and working conditions. So I hope that you've had a fair exposure of Bangkok life. I understand that you've been living in an artist residency space and you've been coming here. So I guess after the show you will have more time to I guess take in and enjoy the city life without the obligations. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the team, the exhibiting team, and our live translator. He'll be doing the Thai translation on that wing of the auditorium. So excuse the the sound. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank me and together with the artists, we would like to thank Dr. Prapon Kumjim and the team at the Jula Art Center, Kong Yo, and also Comdi to make this exhibition possible. So without your support, this wouldn't happen today. And I also would like to thank B and AG actually, because this project, how it was conceived, it was through invitation from B and AG that they invited me to join this project early on, and then we continue developed this project together. And then from two artists, B and AG, we were then able to invite Anon Nong Yao and also Stephanie Powell, who cannot be with us today. I feel really bad because she's the only female artist in the show, and she cannot be here due to family condition that she cannot be here. She is based in New York City. So first, may I start from perhaps the idea and the title of the show is the concept, and the title is Oscillation, which actually derived from when I came and saw B's work, and I would like to show this one. So I was invited to his studio, so I got to see some of his work, but not this one in particular, but within the same series of his sculptural work. But what is striking is that I find that the sort of like switching between the experience or seeing the material as an object, as a sculpture, but then you also switch to an optical experience when you come close to the work through a peephole of the work. So, so that sort of like switching between the way we see sort of inform my idea about, okay, maybe we can use that as a method in terms of the way we construct the exhibition, and in a way to try to you know, allow each work to speak as well, because my practice has been more from seeing what is out there and then try to find connection and relationship. So basically this show, what I hope to achieve is that to sort of like suggest or hint at some connections between all the work and the way we experience each work. In particular, I would like to propose that the notion of oscillation as a, you know, a movement, a transition that is not fixed, that is not static, but something that is moving between different points of idea, and that's how meaning is produced. That's how we understand something, and that's perhaps how also we change our understanding. So perhaps what I would like to propose is that the structure of the talk we will also oscillate between like topic or keywords or ideas, and then the artist will also speak and elaborate in relations to their practice and their work. And also during the conversation, I'm also welcome to you, anyone who would like to raise question, give an addition, a comment, or anything at all as well. You can interrupt at any time as well. So first, um, I would like to put out some of the keywords, and that I find there is something quite, present in all of the work here. And so first is the notion of being in control or letting it go. So one of when I will start from B again. Sorry. Uh, when I came to see your work in the studio at that time, I saw a sculptural piece with this sort of experience. So I noticed like you work in the studio a lot, spend a lot of time in the studio, and you test, make a lot of testing work. Everything has to be well done, well tested before it is done and final. And so then when I came the second time, I saw this project that you were doing at Ratchaburi. It's Mers Maze 1. And that was like, I got goosebump. I got new inspiration. And then I proposed to you that
You
I would
manipulated
like
me.
I manipulated you, manipulated B to consider develop that project for this exhibition. So maybe we talk a little bit about your practice in the studio and how much you the method of you working with your project in contrast to this one, and what is happening in this project at the Ratchaburi.
I think the aspect of control is rooted in my study, especially my doctoral study in sculpture. I was trained by a formalist sculptor, constructivist, and that is very controlled. The method he trained me, the methodology we try to use is almost on par with scientific methodology. And so that is kind of ingrained in my practice throughout 20 years. And I find it difficult to let go, extremely difficult. But then Henry Tan, my protege, kind of tried to persuade me to expand my work that you showed previously into architectural scales. And then he invited me to Ratchaburi. Yes.
Okay.
He invited me to Ratchaburi, and I accepted the proposal. The space was so huge, 100 square meter, so mad. So I got the team of those two guys to stay there for 2 months, 1 month, work day and night in the whole space. We televised that. And it's very unusual for me to work like that as well, because I didn't have any hands-on experience. I left it by chance. We discussed it as a plan. They make models, they make sketches, and then they implement it and televise, send it on Facebook. I find that experience quite really liberating in a way that, okay, now I produce ideas, I comment, but I don't have to taste it before I see it. Before Merce Maze, everything, as Lino said, I have to taste it to the point that I can produce almost scientific theory that, okay, I do this, and the consequence will be this. Now I embrace chances.
That's wonderful. And in this particular work, your work deals a lot with the illusion, perception, how you see things, and you construct a system or mechanism that allow to see something, but it's only exists in that visual perception. That space was not, say, what is it? Not real. Yeah, it's not real. A virtual space in that vertical perception. And in this particular work, in Mer's Maze, I think you took quite a big task and ambition, because usually your sort of like vertical visual experience you create was through delicate people, but the project at BACC, you expanded a bit more, right, to really see it sort of like in front of you. But in this one, what struck me was that the vision and the bodily experience comes together in relation and connection with each other. Yeah?
In comparison to the BACC one, which is also architectural scale, even bigger than Mer's Maze in height, it was 6 meters high. But that installation was so controlled to the point that actually the viewer are not allowed in, except for Jagai, who climb up, right? You saw the footprint. Yeah. But the intention of that, the previous, the red and blue installation was for the viewer to stand at certain point to experience it. Even the sound was so controlled that if you move from the center, you hear only one set of sound. You move to another. If you stay in the middle, you hear both of them. Something like that. But in Mer's Maze, the big difference is that the viewers are invited to be in the space, to have the spatial experience with their own body.
Can you tell a bit more about what's happening inside? So people walk into the piece, what kind of, like, what do they see, and how they experience inside a space, like walking through, and what do they see, and what happened inside?
They see a lot, actually, a lot of junks orchestrated in a way that we started with a plan of a maze, of a labyrinth, that loop, like the plan is almost like the number 8. And then you see a lot of things going on everywhere you look around. There are things to look at that could excite you or make you confused.
Yes, I think what I found so interesting was that once I was in there, it's sort of like, it becoming, I was inside another world that I can imagine my own world, my own picture, what I wanted to see it. I think there is this chaos that allows sort of like many things that, we can imagine. We will go back to the materiality. As you see, your work dealing with texture, interiority, and exteriority. So we will come back to that, but while we are in this topic of letting it go and being in control, we continue to Eji about his work. And your work has also been, where the same. I think you both have some sort of similar method as like a scientist. You too, extremely well tested, rehearsed, very until you have the product, right? Or like the final work. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the process of the way you work. Yeah.
I think my work is about a lot about analytical. So I analyze material, including the lighting and whatever the surface, because I mean what I'm interested in is organic forms, which I created in this piece. So for me, lighting, which I work as media quite often, lighting itself has a lot of phenomena. It has, if you go into the Wikipedia, there's tons of information about what is about light. So I sort of like play with these phenomena and choose the right medium and method to create my work. So it's obviously I always need a testing to make everything, because once you don't test it and then you just it doesn't work. So I need to have a lot of testing, and so once I found out the fact, then I start to work on start to control the work, which I'm still stuck in this control. I didn't get out of it. But since I try to use an organic format, which is a part of the nature, so after the control, the nature takes over my work, and then this organic movement and shapes, it will take over.
In that sort of sense, I, there's some reason that I invited Anon and Stephanie to join this project, because I see there's sort of like some contrast of practice, and I would like to bring that into, facing each other into conversation. And yes, both of you has been working a lot of that sort of like method as like controlling, testing. However, Anon practice sort of like going to the other way, to the opposite side, and more of improvisation, right? And allows things to happen, and resist in being fixed, resist in being good, resist from being perfect, or something like this, right? Oh, no, I should not say or something like this. So I want to hear more from Anon, because so some work. Yes, I show some images of Anon's workshop in Cambodia, but Anon's practice has been a lot with experimental sound and video, and what I would like to see is actually this is as a method for production as well, because by letting things go, many things could happen, right? So I am very interested in your practice. So maybe you can say a little bit more about why your interest on this way of working, and yes, let's hear.
For me, it's just like a experimental thing. Just I interested just about this was so much because when I was young, I think is experimental scene quite like our country, our area. Just like when you look at our system, experimental.
Our
experimental.
society.
Our society experimental, and then I question this, and then for me, I related about my experimental to people a lot. When the audience come, or some of my work that on the public space. I don't know before. I don't know why. Why the why
like it.
yeah, why I like it, and then just I just realized in a few years ago because I questioned so much about the public space in Thai. You mean like a public space? Public space like everyone can do on the space, and then in Thai, you need permission all the time. And then I question, this is not public space. And when after that, I went to the temple, Thai temple. A lot, almost of Thai temple, they have like instrument like a bell and drum a lot, and then all of the people can play the sound together, and then they don't care about the sound come out to music or not music, and then just I realized this is the public, and then I direct to like talk about the public sound, that in the moment I directly to public sound, and then just like that, and a part of my concept to relate it.
That also speaks to my practice a little bit, as I also run an experimental art projects called Salsa Art Projects in Phnom Penh, and me and my team, we invited Anon and Kim Piyalat to do a residency together in Phnom Penh. And so this project, Anon collaborated with a father of my friend, my colleague. He is just a regular guy, but he made his own amplifier, and he created this system from like very simple, easy material, including cigarette packs. That was quite striking for Anon in particular. Maybe you can tell a little bit about how you worked with Kwai Lung, and about this workshop, what happened at the Y Building. Yeah.
How can I say? I interesting so much about the Kwai Lung amplifier because I installed his amplifier like a sound of the Phnom Penh, because inside of the amplifier just like a very weird copper wire to link like how can I say it's just like a weird system but still strong to communicate it. And then when I was in Phnom Penh, just I residency in Y Building. Y Building just like when the first you see at the outside of the Y Building is like really afraid. And the building, sorry. And then when I was there a few days, I touched a lot of the system inside of the building, very strong community, and people they have the system by them way. And I said it's like inside of his amplifier, and so let him to workshop with the children inside and use his amplifier and workshop about how to become local inventor in Phnom Penh. That's the idea.
Yeah. It's a great experience how you open that to more sort of like along the way you open your process to include and embrace sort of like more things. And that, speaking about sort of like chance and being open, actually in this exhibition, So we plan to have 4 works originally from each of the artists. And then when I came to see the space itself, I decided to shift things around, and then I feel that one thing is missing, that the space is not complete. And therefore, by improvisation, I made a ridiculous proposal to be that I feel I need something small from him, something more to complete the show, complete the space. So again, I manipulated B to to agree with me. So therefore, there will be a surprising element in the show. We would like you to also explore, which was not mentioned in the material. So we will invite you to see the show as well. So now coming close to the work in the exhibition itself, what we see is what I am interested in, the connection between all the works. There is this sort of like coexistence of some sort of like binary ideas, or let's say, or duality that exists conceptually or materially in the works in the exhibition. So I want to come back to B about his current work, Maze 2, Drag On. And so initially, also I think I make that ridiculous proposition that so we need to break the space, to create something coming out from the space.
And I believe that I should do that.
So at first we discussed that sort of like we don't want things so contained, like just inside the exhibition box. We want to create some sort of
Because Lino felt that the space was so rigid.
like extremely like rigid, and before there were like this panel and only one door open, and it feels sort of one contained space and with limited sort of like entry point.
At the same time, it's quite strange for that space to have 2 doors just next to each other.
Yes, but
It's usually closed. One door is closed.
Right. So then we were discussing that, okay, let's make the work sort of like sprawling out, coming from one of the doors of the gallery
Almost
space.
like vomiting out of the gallery.
Could be, yes. And so, but due to technicality, security and safety and all, so I kind of agree that it just sort of like start from the door itself, and then your work would be within the space still. So, and then it turned out, I think, very interestingly for me, I find that also speak to the project, that you have to make your decision. You choose which entrance you want to go in. Let's talk about, the notion of duality, interior and exterior, because previously, this work, tell me about this project you did at BACC, and then you mentioned to me some ideas that you want to turn it around or something. Yeah, and then it would turn to this later project, the Maze project.
Remind me which idea.
No, you mentioned that it's when you look behind the work, you saw something else. Yes. That's it.
Okay, because technically this piece was a disaster. Uh, Building something of the height of something like 3 meters is quite easy. It can be done in 2 days. But this BACC, it was 6 meters high. And that is, in terms of architecture, is considered two-story, like two-story house. So it's another story. So being stupid as me, we planned a lot, as usual. It turned out that the structure wasn't that precise at all when we built it. So it kind of keep moving in the direction that I didn't want it at all, because I try to control. I'm a control freak. But then, because of that, trying to control it, so we have to fix everything behind the scene. And I took some visitors, some friend back to the back of that installation. And they said, wow, that looked amazing, look even better than the front. Something struck me. I have to deal with this. I think that's the starting point.
Right. So it comes to Mer's Maze 1.
I want to flip it, the back side to the front.
Right, right. So basically, you access the other side as well. So expose sort of like both interior and exterior.
But, in Mer's Maze 1, we began with the interior. We kind of work on the interior and let the exterior grow. The same as this one. So
Right.
what we planned was we planned the interior
Mm.
and let it grow from that. And we don't care much what the outside will look like. We just hope for the best, that it grow beautifully.
Right. So what happened with this edition here itself?
Edition. As Ajahn Cho said, that this is one of the last few exhibitions that celebrate the history of 20 odd years of the art center. Me and my team, especially Ajahn Apisit, who is not here, talk a lot about the material. We talk about using material that is related to art education, art student, art schools, talking about rubbish from art and design school. So we try to collect material from this institution, from Bangkok University, from Chulalongkorn University. In fact, I don't want to pay money. I want something free. So that's how it happened. I used leftover wood. I bought something, but mostly it's free, especially something that become the two focal points of the exterior that look like a cone shape. I asked from students. Student produced it in Edgy's class. And then after they submitted the work to Edgy, I asked Edgy if I can use them for my sculpture. That's it. just let it grow naturally.
And this project, initially, when we discussed about, you were planning to have this sort of like a periscope sort of mechanism where it allows for like a long visual, optical vision, right? But then what happened is that
Right? What happened, right? I was so addicted to this because I've been working on what I call self-reflective periscope for so long. Because in my previous series, I try to compress everything. I'm aware of the fact that I'm just dust in the global art scene. So I don't see myself as having a chance to take big spaces in any art gallery. So I try to compress my work, my universe in a kind of tiny sculpture, make the peephole and see it. So what I try to use is to make a system that the sculpture is as thin as possible, while you look into the peephole and you see the whole new thing that expands.
A whole new world.
The whole new world. Yes.
That's the song.
That expand, that go deeper, far much deeper than it actually is from the exterior. And I try to use that system within this installation as well. We did install the mirror in that. And then eventually we found that it revealed too much. Something better left undisclosed. So I throw it away. Just like that.
Just like that. You're open to chance. No? So, yes, I think we'll let you experience yourself in the work, so you can climb up on it and find out what you see.
Just to add to that, I think after a while I discovered that the illusion of the mirror is not necessary anymore for this installation. I think the accelerated perspective in itself is enough.
Yeah, I like the sort of like shifting perception. Okay, you know, you experience from the inner, but also you also experience from the outside. So there's some sort of a different way to engage with the work, and sort of this coexistence, duality of the experience in the work that is interesting. And come to AG, I know that this project, the current project, actually came out from an early project called Quark, and this is the 4th edition, which also you took an ambition to stretch out in terms of the scale and the complexity of the project. And you also further our wonderful collaborator, sound specialist, Hiroshi Miyata, to produce sound effect for the work as well. Despite that, Hiroshi is not just a sound artist, he also perhaps the only Japanese in Thailand who could free dive for up to 43 meters. And he is also an enthusiastic whale listener. So I don't know, you have an extreme sense of hearing, I believe. So tell a little bit about, from that Quark into the current project here.
Well, the first time when I made a quark, it struck me like the visual is quite like a cosmic, like a very galaxy looking, and the originally like the material and analytical things started from like, oh, dust is beautiful with the light. So, and then, oh, dust is actually the particle. Oh, and then what is a particle is like, particle is a photon, which is the wave, and photon is the light. Light is actually consists of wave and particle. So it's like a whole thing start to formulate in theory and the universe and origins of universe. And so it's kind of like during the process, like a scientific kind of conversation with the work was kind of inevitable to especially reproduce this work. Last time the way that I have made it, I didn't have enough control, which we are talking about, that the visual element and the aerodynamics, which the wind, like, and all those movements, I was not enough to be able to develop last walk. So this time, with taking a challenge from Lino, he wanted to have a more something new, something developed. He kind of gave me a challenge task. So I sort of like, okay, and he wants to have a movement, he wants something more and more. So I had to sort of like think deeper, and in this process, actually quite interesting to find so many more elements and phenomena. And so, for example, I mean, like, because light is invisible without having any object in between, and wind is invisible without object in between, without having a light. So that's the beginning of it, to visualize it, the images. But through the images, okay, this walk, I changed the color in last, which I didn't, it didn't happen last time. But so taking a Lino's challenge, and my work started to be more, quite more scientific, in the sense that, like, okay, photon is like is a light is consists of wave, which blue wave is shorter and red wave is longer, such as sunset is red and regular daylight sun is what we see sky is blue, because of this the wave, the wavelengths. So actually, I was speaking with actually my friend, and like, when I put the red light on it, we are talking about black hole. Like, I was thinking, like, oh, maybe we can suck the air instead of just blowing, so that we can create a black hole. But in reality, I had the two end of it was a convex lensed, very concentrated light, which creates extremely hot temperature, and that actually draw the air into the both side. I mean, slowly. It's a little bit subtle, not as a sucking plan that I was I would want to create. But so anyway, those forces start to happen with this experience, and again, the LED light. When the light or everything goes into the black hole, everything becomes red. So during the process, all the stars and everything becomes a red color, because the wave of photon is stretched, so it becomes red. So during the experiment, it started to see like, oh, red light, and this so it's my work is sort of like a visualization of organic nature in our gravitated world, but sort of also kind of imaginally let audience kind of out of another side. So it's like a kind of duality, like Ajahn B was talking about. It's in a way like I'm letting people kind of go inward to see the work, but also imagination. I want to let people's imagination kind of go out of our scale of the work.
Right.
Yeah.
So to connect the visual experience to also imaginary vision. So you may experience B's work itself. It's I find that the whole exhibition is the whole strange world. Everything is mysterious in a way. But speaking of duality or coexistence, for Anand's work, what I find interesting is that he is keen in engaging and working with the audience. That becomes part of the work. And the current work, for example, like this one as well, like you did in Phnom Penh at the White Building, that you collaborated with students. What happened here, that you work with the students and together with the technical specialist help from Kwai Lung and you build the sound bicycle together using some recycle from our storage, the speaker and bicycle, and invent this system. And the children would go and ask the residents. So tell what happened, what the students were doing with the residents.
When the workshop,
Yeah.
after the workshop with Kwai Lang about how to become to inventor, and then
Once all the children are inspired to be sound inventor. Yeah.
we go together to recording sound in the building together, and then interview the people who live inside the building, and recording just like capture the sound, and meanwhile just like overlapping of the sound and the recording, just for me like a protecting sound.
The sound is like a protesting
Yes,
sound because it's overlay, like keeping overlay, so you hear like multiple sounds at once.
Yes, after that, after finish the recording, we bring the bicycle to down on the road, and the children run the bicycle around the building. Just finish.
Yeah. So I noticed. Yeah, many of your work you involve like audience being part of the creation of the meaning of the work, and likewise the current work in this exhibition.
Yep.
Maybe say a little bit, but not so much, so we let
Okay.
people experience themselves.
This work, the name is Unstory. It is not strawberry. This name quite like a lily of his color is red. just kidding. Strawberry. I'm sorry, just kidding. The unsorry, just like quite like I direct the word to unstable. This series, this work quite like a series of the interesting about the vibration, and then quite like an accident. The sound of the vibration when I experimental with the sound. Some of my camera put on the speaker, and then just record some vibration of the image, and then I interesting like unstable of the picture, and then almost of the new technology of the picture this time, present time, to direct to how to make the camera for stable, like people feel like almost people like stabilize.
Yeah, there's always technology now, camera like destabilizer, how much, whatever, this technical and how many megapixel each year. All this technology is always what they're trying to improve if the clarity, the stability of the image, or what the machinery wants to capture, right? So I think what is inside this work is actually the opposite, right? What you're trying to achieve is to resist from being clear, from being stable, right?
Yes, just like when when you see like a blur of the picture or the and the video, you will see like for me it's unstable, just like up and down, up and down. Just we have like a space between up and down, and then we find a new space and another dimension to look at the new experience.
Yeah, I think what strikes me is, you know, it speaks a lot to actually now the condition of many countries now in Southeast Asia, the social and political condition that, you know, the aspiration to stability and order, and by what means and at what cost. And I think your work hints to the other possibility that we can imagine, and how we can, okay, think about what if we don't want to be stable in order. So I think that's for me is particularly relevant and to what is our current condition now. So just want to check if anyone has question in particular, please feel free. I have a few more questions. We can continue, but if any of you have question or comment or any, oh, you have question. Sorry? Oh, Kwale? Oh, Kwai Lung is the name of a person. Sorry. Collaborate with Kwai Lung. It's the sound inventor that Anon met in Phnom Penh. Sorry.
เป็นชื่อของนักประดิษฐ์ท้องถิ่นนะครับ
Yeah. So now, maybe the last part of it, I want to dive into the meaning. You know? We talk about the process, the materials, and practice. Now let's go into the meaning a little bit. I touched a little bit now with Anand's work, you know, how it hints to some other ideas. And for you, B, your work, actually, I would like to introduce about Stephanie's work a little bit because she's not here. Just maybe I give out a little bit about the additional surprise of your work in the show. Can I say it is a portrait of you? Is it fair to say?
It's a portrait of two portraits.
Okay. It's a portrait of two people. So yeah. So that's you will check how what is that portrait like. But talking about portraiture, I would like to share a little bit about Stephanie's work since she's not here. I was struck by her early work, this project, and she made this sculpture out of tumbleweeds, which is a plant that grow in the desert in America, and it's dry plant that they just like tumble off from the root, and then would just tumble following the wind. So in the desert, you know, by the wind, it will just like roll, and it also carries seeds, and it disperses the seeds through wherever it goes, and when it comes to a hospitable environment, those seeds will grow. So, and this material has become sort of like a metaphor for diasporic community. And it speaks a lot to Stephanie herself, and it becomes sort of like this notion of mobility, diasporic community and culture, as well as the hybridity, speaks a lot in most of her work. So in this particular one, she coated black lacquer on the tumbleweed, because black lacquer for her was quite of so like we all know in Asia, lacquer is part of the tradition of like high craft, or we call art too sometimes. So it's of high value. It's really, you know, material that it's not like cheap material. It's in Asia. But yeah, the lacquer. So lacquer in as part of craft and art making is, you know, of high value. However, in the U.S., black lacquer sort of becoming sort of a mimicking or cheap aestheticization of Asian product, sort of like, yes, just Asian, something Asian. So, you know, you could find a lot in Chinatown, some sort of like cheap lacquer stuff that you can buy and put in your bedroom or something like that. So she's interested in this sort of like the meaning and value is shifted and through different culture and condition. That's sort of like she want to look into this notion of how how actually culture is not stable. It's actually we shift them, we change them, and also it affects us. And that in this project, I proposed to her I told her that I love that sort of like material and the idea, but I proposed to her to make new work. And this is the work that she produced for this show. It's a 2 video channel and 1 channel with 5 people playing a game, a statue game. You count 1, 2, 3, and you turn. People are supposed to be supposed to stop, and if people move, then they go out. So this game continue and play on. So basically, for her, she consider this work is her portrait as well as an Asian American. Stephanie, her father was American who went to Japan during the war and met her Japanese mother. I will say a little bit, but I want you to also experience yourself. So 1 channel, there is this fragile body in the middle of these tumbleweeds, and the room was blown. She's in this sort of like under the wind, in a domestic setting. So another one, also the same body is surrounded by a group of people playing this game, and for her, it's like the culture can come and go, and when it goes, it leaves us vulnerable. So just also, yeah, want to mention about her work, and then I want to come back to meaning when we were talking before. It was Anon, and now B, this work, right, the current one. I was struck before by this work, and I proposed to develop a new one for this show, right? And the reason why is that sort of like, once you come in, you sort of like, these are all like junks, right? Material, they are junks, but now they are part of the world creation. You create new world, and sort of like, okay, you consider the material as part of the daily culture. Also, what's hopes and dreams, what's in there, once you're in there, their hopes and dreams and fun and desire, trying to look for a way out, or and being curious to look for what's something in there. So everything is like melting in this one pot, and as I understood, is that you want to point to the very present condition of the society we're living in now. Is that fair to say? And how would you like to elaborate a little bit more?
My works, especially in terms of meanings, are always multi-layer. So it can be read in many different ways. And the answer is yes, you can say, it's very fair to say that my work can be read politically. Right now, I talk to Lino repeatedly. I use this phrase, false hopes. It consists of tunnels that has light at the end of the tunnel, but it goes nowhere. It leads to nowhere. It just gives you some hope, but it doesn't go anywhere. But it can be political. It can be personal.
Mm. Yes, please.
A little bit corresponding to the about the color in Thailand in art, because I use multiple colors in my work as well. But many times I found like, that work, there's a lot of, I like the yellow part of it, or I like the red part of this work, you know. So I was just like, but in a reality, it's a primary color, which all the artists sort of deal with it. So it's in a sense that it's a challenge in the Thai current situation or Thai art world, but also it's fascinated me about like artists take care of the color in many different approach. Some work you cannot even find identity of it's a red, but which identity is so gray. So
At one point, I was afraid that I would be kind of branded as a red artist. I'm not. I'm multicolor.
so that primary color issue is quite interesting in Thailand.
This project, you used you said that the material itself, the red, was actually inspired from the material that is used in the ritual practice,
Exactly.
right? Where people tie these sort of like pieces of monk's robe, or that orange color or this red color around where supposed to be the spiritual place,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
So now it comes to be this ginormous creature.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an element of the soft and the hard, and for me the femininity and masculinity, it's all like melting in one and trying to negotiate between one and another. So you want to speak something about that?
Yeah, the starting point is exactly as Lino said. I look at the society, look at the news we share in public newspaper, in national television. Basically, we are living in Thailand in particular. We are living in an animistic country, not a Buddhist country as such, as we try to proclaim. And the element of this red fabric is kind of extracted from the ritual, which sometimes they use monk's robe, mostly not. They use what we call 7-color fabric, ผ้า7 สี 7 ศอก in Thai. They wrap around the tree, wrap around anything they think that could be sacred, just to give themselves blessing. So I kind of mimic that. Or even in Chinese ritual, in the Huang Sui, the kind of the graveyard, when they do the annual kind of worshipping for the ancestor, they would decorate that with the red fabric as well. So that's part of the meaning that is not well hidden in that. But anytime I make this tunnel, anytime I make tunnels, it can be sexualized. And even without my intention at all, Henry Tan always call me kind of vaginal artist. Yes. And actually, there's one point that, if you remember one of the image of the steel monolith, there was one point it was Lawrence, an art critic from New York, came to visit my studio, and he looked at the steel monolith and looked inside the peephole. And what he said was, "Oh, this is putting vaginas onto Richard Serra." And that reminded me of what you told me, the term that I'm not sure that is being widely accepted in terms of meaning.
Oh, you mean
Cock art.
Any mistake now with shuttle to oscillate to scientific in AG's work. So you wanted to create this experience that shuttle from the visual to the imaginary world out there, the expansive world out there, the cosmos or whatnot. And you tell me actually more about the idea of play, because I think you want to create a world where we can play, we can get lost, imaginary wise. Tell me about the notion of play in the work. I think there's all of the works, there is this very sort of like playful experience all in each of the work. And for you, tell me more. As you were, you told me once about when you were a little child, you would try something. So it's like you have this sort of like sense of being a tester or experimental scientist or something. Yeah.
That was, I think, I realized when I get an adult, my first experimental artwork was created around 4 or 5 years old. 5 years old. In the first year of the Japanese school, I start to form this sand ball. People create a mud ball, sand ball, something like that. When you're kids, everyone does it, right? But I made one layer of this sand ball and put a little water and then put this kind of like white powder that you can kind of create a line in the school. You can find it in Japan, any school. So I put it over and it becomes suddenly white ball. I was like, oh, okay, white ball. And what about after that I put the kind of a red sand, red soil, and it becomes a orange ball. And I was just like, keep doing it for like 3 days or something. And after that, I just cut with a knife. And then it started to have this kind of like a really planet-looking ball, and it was like a very, very, I don't know, to me that was very sophisticated look of it. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I started to create from the beginning, from very small ball to create, accumulate. Basically every school hours, like, okay, after the mathematics, I go out alone, just like creating, and come back, and sort of like touching the ball during the class. I'm maybe not a good student, but and they kept doing it. And one point, the ball started to be like bigger, and my friends started to follow what I have been doing.
Right, right.
And then, so I started to have some kind of follower or fan. Or
Right, you created AG's fan. Wow.
So, and I almost, so at one point I declared myself, okay, I will keep doing it for one month.
Right, right.
So, and I was like, oh, it's like my 3-4 guys around, it was like, oh, that's a great idea. Right. So, and it just kept going. And to the point that ball cannot fit on my desk, that like becoming like that, this size. And okay, you know, I cannot hide from teacher anymore, so I have to keep it in the back of the classroom or something. By that time, actually, funny, but all my classmate boy start to create this ball, what I've been doing, and during the time, a lot of people break it and da. But I kept for 30 days as I declared it.
Right.
And at one point, after 30 days, everybody started to do it. So I'm just getting bored, right? Because now everybody's
Yeah, they have to
doing
find
it.
something
I
else to do.
thought this was my work, but
Right.
now everyone's doing it. So I declared to everyone, like, okay, I'm gonna drop this ball from the 5th floor to the ground, and let's see what happens. I mean, that was it, but it ended up just, it fell, and everybody was in downstairs, and it ball break it, but it's a successfully actually only like 3 pieces because it was so condensed and so strong, but the layer came out really beautifully.
Right. So you were already experimental when you were little,
Yeah.
but it become more like experimental for the sort of like clean final work, right?
Well,
Which
not
is,
necessarily every time doesn't have to be clean.
Right,
But
right.
this particular piece actually was I think a contrast between Ajambi's work and my work. It looks very, I think it's very interesting in the contrast, the organic form, yet Ajambi's like very organically built, and mine's very like, maybe people may think, oh, very Japanese, you know. But also same time inside the tank is not controlled.
So I'm just like aware of time, but I want to just check whether any of you have questions. Please feel free to raise.
Maybe
yeah.
adding
Yeah.
one thing just about the shape of the beam, which is actually again control, but that's sort of like the work is inspired by like a particle accelerator, which is which kind of like quantum physics to speed up the particle to create a new particle. Yeah. So just the form of it is as well was just a bit of those inspiration behind it. Yeah.
Again, I just want to check if any of you would have question or something, because I know it's a bit odd that we talked before the exhibition. So this is the first time that I talk before the exhibition, which I think, okay, so what if people haven't seen the work yet? How would people react or respond to? So therefore, I try to bring the conversations around their practice, the artist's practice, and their methodology, and allude something to the current work as well. But maybe we can conclude with Anon. you mentioned before that you're interested in the experimental practice that allows other things to happen, and you also involve other people to join you. And I'm interested in this sort of like breaking the boundary and the division. I think that for me is interesting. And you have made previous work at BACC where you have the audience to become also the music composers. So it's not just static audience, and so it's like everyone participate in creating the meaning. In this work, maybe in particular, tell exactly what happens.
What happened?
Yeah, in this what exactly? Yeah.
Just the image of the video, just like consists of the three artwork, just like E.G. and B and Stephanie together in the video. When the people come to cross the camera will shaking, and
Will shake.
will shake, and also the sound. I turn on some of the radio station, and then also the sound is shake, just like make something unstable.
Interrupted.
Yes, interrupted. Yeah.
So just want to also inform you that the technical sort of like limitation for the exhibition, we work really hard with the team and also the team from the Art Center to realize this together, but also want to raise that the technology is not ideal for the space, but we manage as much as we could because there's many elements of sound happening in the space. So just want to raise that. And I actually, yes, I think we should let people see and experience the work, and then they can come and talk to you more, have conversation more. The idea is we would like you to switch, to change, to oscillate, to move one thing to another, and also to maybe change your way of thinking from one way to another as well. Yes, that's yes. Wait.
My installation is for walking in.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So a public official permission from the artist that the work is meant to be walking in. So you just walk in at your own risk.
I hope you enjoy the sound from Hiroshi Miyata here, another Japanese artist visiting. He collaborated with me for this, and we discussed about this, how the sound can be living together with this piece. So please, listen to his sound.
Thank you so much, Hiroshi. Yes. Sorry.
If I may add just some additional information about our curator, Hun Lino Wood. He actually has a very unique background when it comes to curators. I understand that you've been involved in NGO work. You're a sociologist by training, and you're also an IT expert. If I'm not too far wrong, that's a pretty unique trajectory into becoming a curator. So, sorry? And you're an artist as well. So that's supposed to be one of my first observations. But I think the exhibition, it's beginning to kind of makes a lot of sense. And the only way to add to that dimension is to basically have the opening here. so that we can go straight through into the exhibition. Is that okay?
But
It's just
can I check one thing with Hiroshi before we say people can get in?
oh, okay. But I think
The sound is, you adjusted it already.
But I think in terms of getting people together in one room or in this room, we are particularly pleased, Ajahn Gong and myself, we are particularly pleased to have such a solid turnout for this exhibition, and we are sincerely honored. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. I think we will have the ceremony here. So
All
thank
right.
you once again.
Thank you so much again for the team at the Art Center. Gong, in particular, has been tremendous help and tried to negotiate and find the best solution we could to accommodate the demand of the work in this exhibition, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And if I may just add a little more information about what Ajahn B said about his work. He said he used free materials and he enjoyed not paying for it. But Gong and I were laughing because we see how much labor and manpower has been involved. And not
hope this is not
only
free.
did the students help, he had the labor of one of the best kind of trained sculptor in Thailand, helping him construct this wonderful structure. So to us, it's something that it's very, very costly. Thank you once again for your kind attention.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.